Hello and welcome back here to Talk FCB for another video here today, and what I'm going to be doing actually is doing a part 2 video of the video that I brought out yesterday on La Liga and why I feel that it's one of the most underrated, if not the most underrated league in world football. Now, what I've decided to do is come back and do a part 2 of that video, because even though that video was 12 minutes long, now if you haven't seen it already, the link will be in the description for you to go and check that out, but it was 12 minutes long yesterday, but I came away from that video, listened to it, look at some of your comments. And by the way, guys, fantastic comments from everyone, really pleased with all the feedback. That's why I'm doing another one. But basically, I looked through it and I thought, you know what, I've forgotten a lot. I've forgotten so much about in this video. There's a lot more that I could have included to support my argument and many of your arguments as well. So what I decided to do is do a part 2 video and discuss some more reasons why La Liga is massively underrated. And we're going to be looking basically more at the ground level. We're going to be looking at the base of Spanish football and taking a look at the development of young players and exactly the structure of Spain in general. Because Spain in general as a country is not very well run. There's a lot of debt in the country, there's a lot of unemployment. But in terms of the football, I don't believe La Liga is certainly not marketed well enough, because the Premier League, you've got to give the hats off to them there. They market their league fantastically worldwide to so many markets, so many countries. La Liga isn't marketed in the same way, in the same class. They have improved that though. Last season was a big step forward. You saw more coverage of it, you saw more promotion of it, but certainly it's not marketed in the way the Premier League is. But in terms of other things, the structuring of the leagues is one thing which I feel is actually very, very important. And what I mean by that is the fact that you can have the B teams in actual competitive leagues in Spain. You look in the Segunda Division and you'll see B teams. Of course, Barcelona B in the B team. They were in the B League for a number of years. They went down to the third division last season. Real Madrid the same. Athletic Club, their B team was in the Segunda Division. This season they got relegated. But I feel that having a B team in a professional league in the country is a massive, massive step, and something that England is trying to introduce now, but they're too late. There's already established clubs in the English divisions that won't really be very happy with letting B teams come into play. So in England, B teams are still playing in B leagues and it's not competitive. It's not teaching them hardly anything. These guys in the B teams in Spain are playing against professional footballers in professional stadiums and high-pressured match days, and they're playing against men. They're learning the game, they're developing in that way, and I think that's a really good thing about Spain and in general, B teams and bringing through younger players. That's so important. But I think in general, La Liga's focus on youth players and promoting from within and actually sticking by players from your own country. England have had to introduce a home quota to introduce talent of English descent. They do not believe in producing their own. They buy from abroad, and the problem is that there's so much money in the Premier League these days. Why would you bother with your youth academy when you can go out and spend a load of million on somebody from a foreign league who'll come in, probably won't speak English, will be on massive wages, and then suddenly you've got divisions within the squad. In Spain, there's not as much money, so you've got to go to other resources. They look at their reserve teams, they look at their academies, and what they try to do is get a philosophy at that club which will allow the players to come through and settle in. Malaga's a fantastic club for doing it. They consistently sell their best players. There's not much money to play with there after the owner has pulled out massively on that one, but they do keep promoting from within, and through their academy are some fantastic players. Valencia's academy, absolutely fantastic. The players that they produced over the years, absolutely outstanding. And I think one thing as well, which I think is consistently overlooked in La Liga, is Athletic Club, or Athletic Bilbao, whichever way you know them as. Athletic do something which, for me, if this happened in England, if this was done in England and Athletic had the same success there as they would over here, then, what are you going to do? I mean, and this is a team that simply plays players of Basque descent. They do not sign any foreigners, they do not go abroad, they don't bring anyone in, they don't sign anyone from abroad. All that they have is players from the Basque region. That is all they play. And that is phenomenal. That is absolutely phenomenal. To have a club, this season has finished 5th in La Liga, they're going to be in the Europa League next season. It wasn't long ago that they were in the Champions League, and a club that is consistently competing at the top level. They've never been relegated from La Liga, along with Barcelona and Real Madrid. Athletic are the only other team never to be relegated, and they only play Basque players. That is fantastic. That is what football is all about. Building something, building a structure, having a belief, having philosophies, having real, unique fantastic things from their history, and that's what it's all about, building a club that has real values almost. They have values, and I think that's what's missing in England. Right now, you've got players there who are being brought in who don't care about the club, don't care about the game. All they're worried about is getting that next big move in their career, and coming to the Premier League succeeds that. And the one player I would love to use here as an example is Adama Traore. Adama Traore was at Barcelona B last season, the season before that. He signed for Aston Villa last summer for about 10 million, so quite a lot of money going over there for straight away. And don't forget, the players get about 5-10% of the transfer fee. So straight away, that's a lot of money in his pocket, a young player. Now, he was at Barcelona B. He was a hungry player. He was a very, very promising player who was going in the right direction. He joined Aston Villa. Now, to be fair, he got an injury, but he is reportedly on £40,000 a week. £40,000, and apparently there's a clause in his contract that this summer, if they actually keep him, it will rise to £60,000 a week. This is a teenager. Can you imagine that? What psychological effects that would have on you? Of course, for the player, it's fantastic. All that amount of money, such a young age, you're rich already, you've made it in the game. But where's the hunger? Where's the belief? Where's the will then to go and want to take your career to the next level? If you've already been given that kind of money, if you're already on those kind of wages, where's the incentive? If you haven't got the mentality for it, you'll crumble, because he'll think, I've made enough money now. I've made myself. I've certainly done all right for myself. I can set myself up in life. I'll just stay at this level now. I'm quite happy with that. What's the point? And quite frankly, if players don't have the mentality going to the Premier League, that's what happens. They get easy, they get comfortable, they don't push themselves, they don't train as hard, they don't compete as hard, and quite frankly, the wages that are in the Premier League right now is damaging, and that's the word I'd use, damaging for not only the Premier League, but the sport in general, because they're affecting fees, and the same now for when China have been introduced. They're trying to sign players for astronomical money, and I just think what Spain try and do is, of course they spend money, you know, you got the big clubs in Spain which will always spend money, and I think it'll be really, really good actually this summer when the TV revenue increases. There is going to be more money distributed evenly throughout La Liga, but it's still not going to be mega bucks. And I think it's about finding the balance between having money, making good, smart purchases, having a business plan like Sevilla do, like Atletico Madrid do. Atletico Madrid, for instance, consistently losing their best strikers. Diego Forlan, Fernando Torres, Sergio Aguero, Diego Costa, consistently replacing them because they've got a plan in place. They've got an idea from the very, very top. That's what you have to do, but also finding the balance where you can sign players, you can bring players in on big fees, but you can also quote from within. Now, they're very, very interesting stat. Now, these are statistics taken from 2014, so it may have fluctuated a tiny bit since then, but this is quite recent figures. La Liga had around 60% to 65% of players homegrown in their division. So Spanish-based players around 60 to 65% in La Liga. In the Premier League of English descent, around 35% homegrown players. La Liga, very nearly double the amount. And that's the problem when you're looking at national team success. England, nowhere near. Why? Simply because they don't have enough talent to choose from. There's players there with talent, but there's no competition. There's no real philosophy. There's no real idea. All of them are playing regularly. Not all of them are playing at a high level, because simply in the Premier League, whenever you get a good English player, they're overhyped. They're massively overhyped by the press, by the managers, by the coaches instantly. There's so much pressure on their shoulders because there's not many players of the quality in that lineup. And then, of course, you get the stage where there's so much pressure on them, there's so much hype at an early age, where again, if your mentality isn't right, you crumble. And I feel like there's so many things in Spain which are really, really good, which the structure in place is really, really strong, and people don't really give enough credit for that. And I think one of the things you have to look for is the amount of players who have come over to the Premier League from La Liga and flourished. Because there's a lot of people who say, well, it's easy to play in La Liga, you know, easy league, easy opponents. And there's so many players that have actually left La Liga and done better in the Premier League than they did in La Liga. Cesc Fabregas went to the Premier League, fantastic there for Arsenal, for Chelsea, brilliant. David Silva left Valencia to join Man City, again fantastic. Juan Mata, Santi Cazorla, Diego Costa, Pablo Zabaleta, David De Gea, Sergio Aguero, Juan Mata, like I say, these are fantastic players who come over from Spain, started their careers there, they were developed and nurtured by the Spanish clubs, and they've come over to the Premier League and excel, and it shows that we are producing the players, and we are really, really doing well in the division, and showing that we can produce these players from the academies, and they can go to other countries and do well as well. And not only the players, but also managers who have come from La Liga, who basically plied their trade in La Liga, not always born in Spain, but certainly managers who've gone to La Liga and made their mark, then moved on to the Premier League. Managers like Manuel Pellegrini, fantastic success at Malaga and Villarreal. He's then gone to Manchester City. Okay, he's leaving this season, but he did win the Premier League title there. He won a number of cup competitions. A very, very interesting one is Mauricio Pochettino. He's at Tottenham. Fantastic season this season. Everybody's raving about him. Apparently, Man United fans want him as the next manager. He didn't really do that well at Espanyol. You look at Quique Sanchez-Flores. Recently sacked at Watford, very, very unfortunately. Another good export. Pep Guardiola, of course, Barcelona through and through. He'll be at Manchester City next summer. And it'll be so interesting to see what happens when Pep Guardiola goes there. Whether he tries to utilise Manchester City's youth academy, because they've spent millions on recreating their whole youth system. They've got new grounds there, they've got new facilities, they've spent so much on the youth setup, and it'll be very, very interesting what Pep can do with that, and whether he can actually change English football and the idea that they have about it, because it's going to be very, very interesting to see what sort of impact he can make on that league, because there's so much that you can do with the Premier League. The money is there. If only it could be used in a good way, like in La Liga, where it's reasonably spent, where it's cleverly spent. And the final thing I want to talk about is ticket prices. If you ask any Premier League fan, they're irritated, they're annoyed, they're angry about ticket prices. In Spain, it's fair enough. You can go to Atletico Madrid, you can go to Real Madrid, and you can go to Barcelona, and you can get expensive tickets. There are expensive tickets for expensive games, but at the same time, you can get cheaper tickets. There are cheaper tickets available for everybody to go and watch their football matches. It's a great atmosphere. It's a family environment. You can go in, you can take food in, you can take drinks in. Security isn't crazy. Everybody's very, very relaxed in the stadiums. Everybody enjoys the atmosphere there. And I think once again, La Liga, an atmosphere that is very, very underrated. So just a few more things. Basically, this video was more about the foundations of Spanish football. Seeing how many good things they do at the very base of the game, which then evolve, bringing on the youth players, putting in the process in the B teams, and then getting more players available for the national team, and seeing what success Spain have had in recent years. And of course, the success of the clubs as well in bringing through that youth setup and those homegrown players. So leave your thoughts once again, guys, down below. Very, very interested to hear what you've got to say again. Like I say, decided to do this part 2 video because there was so much that I'd forgotten in that first video, and I could really go on forever about this. So interested to hear your thoughts, guys. I will be back very, very soon. Who knows, there may even be a part 3. See you soon. Until then though, Vesca, El Barça.